This was in 1986, so many of you would have to Google 1986. And we got a chance to win the Stanley Cup in '86 with the Montreal Canadiens. So it was a real powerful time for me. I'm a kid from Burnaby, British Columbia, and to be able to win that cup and hoist it is pretty special. So 23rd of May, up in this corner, we end up winning a Stanley Cup. But, you know, I don't want to spend our time on success today. I want us to look at the reality of life so that we can adjust, we can stay resilient, and we can be agile. So 23rd of May, 1986, we win that cup. But, you know, I want to go way down here to February, okay? The February is the place I want to talk to you about, and here's why. Middle of February, that same year, about 100 days earlier, 100 plus days earlier, that exact same team was struggling, underperforming, and on the edge of dysfunction. Okay? So isn't that actually hopeful? We went from a struggling team, never made one personnel change, didn't fire the coaching staff. Aren't you happy with me now? And literally went on to win a Stanley Cup in May. So that's our metaphor. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit, and we'll have some fun there. And can I just, while I remember to do this, let's show you the Stanley Cup ring from 1986. We were hoping to be there in person with you, right? So there's the 86 Stanley Cup ring, hard to see, but there. And we got her out of the way. Awesome. So this idea of playing in hard games, or, you know, you and I might sort of say that over the last maybe year, the last 8 months have been, for many people, have been difficult. So this idea is a powerful one, and Gallup has looked at a bunch of crises. So I think it was 6 crises throughout North America over the last 100 years. And what they have found is that in times of crisis, people move in 2 directions, and they're really dictated by the mindset that they take on. Would you agree with that? So the one direction that we can go, or our people can go if you're in a leadership position, is in this area of fear, helplessness, and victimization. Okay, you can feel that. You know, I'm a victim. It's not my fault the economy went down. You know, I'm paralyzed. I'm not going to do anything about it. The other side is that Gallup found that some people react. And obviously this takes a different mindset and a different belief system. But some people react with this idea of self-actualization and high engagement. And, you know, I've talked to I'm coaching many executives now through this COVID time. And some of the executives have told me that, you know, some of their people have never performed better. Right? They have just been, you know, really good during this very hard time. And so we want to talk about these opportunities, that mindset, that thinking, that belief system can actually drive. And we'll get deep into that, because I think this is where the world of sport meets the world of business, meets the world of life, right? It's in the inner game. We're going to talk about that a bit. Resilience, you know, dictionary.com says that resilience is our ability to return, our ability to recover. So those are good. I like those. They're not a perfect description, but it gives us, you know, a bit of a feel. And then we're going to look at these 6 mindsets. These 6, we call them thinking tendencies. And I'm just giving you a little bit of a preview of where we're going to go during our time together. So we'll walk through these 6 areas so that you can have deeper awareness of your thinking. And with that awareness, it gives you the opportunity to actually shift your thinking. And so, you know, that's what we're talking about, leading the shift. One thing I'd love you to write down on the, you know, if you've printed out the little piece that we're going to send out, the handout that you can actually write on. If you could, or on a piece of paper, just write this down. Language defines reality. And I think we're going to try to connect the idea of these 6 mindsets with 6 pieces of language. Because would we agree, leaders, that if we can really understand the language of our culture, the language that we use, the inner language, the internal language, then we have a better chance to understand how our thinking affects our performance. And when you think about this concept of language, let me take you inside some NHL dressing rooms, and because I want us to make sure that we're connecting the world of sport with the world that you live. So let's go inside the Washington Capitals dressing room, and the Caps were an interesting team. I was drafted number 2 in the world to the Washington Capitals. What does that tell you about their team? Right? They're the second worst team in the NHL that year. So we struggled to win. And you know what I learned there? I learned that culture, and we were trying to change the culture. We were trying to turn the corner. But that culture sort of had some key language that it ran on. And part of that key language was the word blame. Teams that lose a lot tend to blame a lot. Now, if we were together, we'd have a big conversation around, okay, so how do you hear blame? What do you hear? What does it sound like? Would we agree that blame runs out a whole bunch of areas, right? So there's low accountability. It's easy to offlet to someone else. And as a matter of fact, we used to blame the referee for everything, right? It was easy to point the finger at the referee. If you couldn't point the finger at the referee, we'd at least blame our goalie. So what we want you to do is start listening in personally and culturally. Where do you hear blame, right? How can you shift that language so that it turns into something different? Then I got traded in 1982 to the Montreal Canadiens. So think about the difference. The Capitals struggled to win games, right? The Canadiens at the time were very successful, pretty much struggled to lose. The Caps had never been in the playoffs at that point, and the Montreal Canadiens had just, when I got traded to them, had just come off 6 Stanley Cup wins in 10 seasons. That's crazy. So let me take you inside that dressing room. It had very much a different language, a different feel. And a bunch of the language, we weren't perfect in that dressing room, but a bunch of the language really hung around this idea of no excuses. Right? So what is no excuses language? How does that play out in conversations? Right? We take responsibility. Our team has to find a solution. And so I really think that the idea that language defines reality is a powerful thought. And we're going to go deeper in this. We're going to try to take this into a mindset area so that you can have a real sense of the language and the mindset that you take on personally and that your culture is taking on from a team point of view. Okay? Got a chance to room with Guy Lafleur in the early, 1982, 1983. Amazing guy. And my best wishes go out to my buddy Guy, who, is going through a tough illness right now. So, but just an amazing guy. Can I give you a gift from Guy? Here's a gift. I learned this from Guy, and he didn't tell me this. He just showed me this. We must, to be the best in the world, we must turn our have-tos into want-tos. Isn't that good? Guy Lafleur was a top NHL player when I played with him. And he was on the ice 45 minutes before any other player, and he didn't have to be there. He couldn't wait to get there. So that's a real gift that Guy gives us as we look at, our business, our life, and if you have kiddos, it's a great thing to pass on.